The song I'd like to share with you is London Calling, which was written by Mick Jones and Joe Strummer.
The song is called Summer in the City.
There is a song called Visa por un sueño, Visa for a Dream.
I've chosen Tarde by Milton Nascimento.
Her name is Maricela, and apparently she's the Mexican Madonna.
The song is called Postcards from Italy, and it's by a band called Beirut.
Every day, somebody somewhere will be giving a performance of Route 66.
My copy, which I have here, was a birthday present from my mum and dad in 1980. The local radio station had this feature at the time, and you could put in a request to announce somebody's birthday, and the twist was they would say, "There's a present for you hidden in a secret location." And my name was on the radio that morning, and there was a present for me in the loft. It goes, the ice age is coming, the sun's zooming in, meltdown expected, the wheat is growing thin, a nuclear error, but I have no fear because London is drowning and I live by the river. So it was talking about all those sort of themes, and that sort of coincided with my growing awareness of the world around me. I'd stopped reading the Beano and action comics and started to pay attention to what was going on around me. Let's have a look at a few performances. The first one is a promo video of The Clash. The way that it's filmed, I think, is quite interesting. It's shot from distance. There's a couple of establishing shots, pretty cliched ones, and then it's filmed, I think, with long-range lenses. It's filmed at night by the Thames on a little jetty. It's raining. Now the next artist, she's interesting. It's this artist called Lady Stéphane. She's French singer-songwriter, and completely different. It's like one of those live lounge type performances, and she's got this this subtle background, and it's it's filmed from closer range, but it's got, I think, multi-cameras there, and she really pronounces the words in a way. Joe Strummer just spends ages writing his lyrics and then slurs his words. Her diction is incredible.
This is a song that I encountered when my wife and I were traveling in South America. We were there for 3 months. We'd started in Colombia, then went down to Ecuador and then to Peru, and kept going down that way. And I think it was in Colombia, from memory, that we overheard this song in a taxi. And then a lot of songs that I encounter in this way, I use the iPhone app Shazam, which records the song and tells you what you've heard, which is really nifty. But I think actually for this song, because I didn't have a phone with me, I didn't have a smartphone, I had to try and work out what some of the lyrics were. So this was interesting because I don't speak Spanish and the song is in Spanish. So just trying to work out, I've done that a few times, because you try and sound out words that you have no idea what they mean, or you have no idea actually how they're spelled on paper. So you have to toy around with it, and Google can help you out there. And these are just some images of our trip and that accompany the song. So the song is very sad, and the photos don't necessarily express how sad the song is, but I like the irony and the disjunction between the two things. So the experience as well of us finding this song, Monica, my wife, and I finding this song and not knowing what the lyrics were because we don't speak Spanish, but enjoying it nevertheless. and not knowing what we were singing along to.
The song that did come to mind, I'd completely forgotten all about until I started watching the Brazilian films, and I think it triggered off a memory of something I'd completely forgotten. I lived in Newcastle upon Tyne, in a mining village not far from Newcastle. The photo is in black and white. We did have colour photography by then, but interesting enough, this photo is in black and white. There was colour in Newcastle upon Tyne. It might not seem it, but there was colour. And from where I lived in my life, going into Newcastle wasn't a big occurrence. We tended to go into the city if we needed new clothes, or we had going out to maybe to the cinema or a theatre, but very much you stayed in your local place. In that summer, I had just done what was then called your O-levels, so now GCSE, and life was opening up for me and my friends then. We were 16, we'd sat our O-levels, I was planning to go to university, so I could see that, you know, life was going to change from where I lived. And as young adults, our freedom had started to become quite real. We were going to dances, we were meeting people, with the idea of meeting someone from the opposite sex seemed, you know, very exciting. So as you say, you started to feel life might happen. So here we come to the song. So the song is by the Loving Spoonful, who I'd completely forgotten about. And I think it encapsulates really the very optimistic age that we were living in. We were quite fortunate as in the 1960s to live in a very optimistic age, although there were a lot of protests against the cost and human life of the Vietnam War, but still it's a very optimistic song, and I think represents that sort of 1960s dream.
I found it through a record of Wayne Shorter, of a jazz musician, and it was 10 years after it had been recorded. It was something that was not quite in the headlines, and not a particularly well-known record. So I just went to look for it, and then I came across this incredible voice, and I came across this incredible atmosphere and expression that seemed so unusual, so different from the Brazil that I knew or thought I knew from bossa novas and sambas. It's not a popular song in the sense of popular tropes. It's not romance. It's something straight out metaphysical, metaphysical extreme perhaps. And it's talking about returning from the shadows, and they're talking about a person who's alienated, who's outside of normal society for whatever reason. And it's also something that pushes harmony and plays with harmony, and it was a perfect marriage with the approach of Wayne Shorter.
So when I was a kid and a teenager, I used to go a lot with my parents and my brother to ski on the weekends. We lived in Barcelona, so we had just 2 hours drive to the Pyrenees, so we used to go there skiing. There is some particular songs by a singer from Dominican Republic, Juan Luis Guerra, that are very well-known Caribbean songs. That I, in my mind, I associate with those trips to the mountain, to those ski days. So it's very strange because in my mind, each time that I hear these songs, the songs by Juan Luis Guerra, I think in the white and snowy landscapes in the Catalan Pyrenees. And it's a really desperate song because it talks about immigrants queuing, doing a long queue to get a visa, and they don't get the visa. So I had the funny and like dancing rhythms of the song, the snow, and those tragic lyrics in the song. And then I found in the internet excerpts from 2 films with the skiers, and I just put together those images with those lyrics of the tragedy of the immigrants.
my background, my parents are from former Yugoslavia, and we have basically all of our family still living in Serbia and Hungary and all around. This song, Postcards from Italy, is so nostalgic, and it's obviously got nothing to do with Serbia or where I'm from or any of the history like that, but it's always been something that I've connected with my family, and it's something that me and my dad also have bonded over before, because he'll always he heard this song once and was like, "You're listening to my music?" No. I've kind of put together some images that I've taken from past trips, some old photos of me and my family that I found on our last trip last year, and there's also some archival footage that I found on YouTube of sort of traditional Serbian dress and things like that, and so much of that reminds me of my grandparents who have a very traditional rural life. So that's kind of why I've put those together and kind of tried to show the duality of it. And also I've kind of made a bit of a reference to a lot of the troubles that are happening in the country at the moment.
One of the songs that's important to me relates to journeys. Stories based on a journey are as old as storytelling, but typically mythical in nature. Odysseus' journey was not one that you could do yourself. Then along came the 20th century, and with it the democratization of travel. As a setting for a story, car journeys and the things that can happen on a car journey were within the audience's own experience. And compared to a train or plane journey, a car journey is far more a personal adventure. So now everybody could be Odysseus. So on to our song. It's a song about journeys. The young Rolling Stones burst like a bomb onto the British musical scene in 1964. At that point, they were mainly doing what we would call covers from the blues R&B canon. Writing their own material came later. This was not a filler track, it was the opening statement on their first album. This is who we are, this is a good song, this is how we play it. And it sent British school kids rushing off to their map to see where were these places. Where was Flagstaff, Arizona? Where was Arizona? The song was actually composed in 1946, so let's hear the original version by this gentleman, Bobby Troup. A song as successful as this becomes a goldmine for the composer, which raises the question, who was the composer? It was actually his wife, Cynthia, when they were driving down 66, who came up with the hook line, "Get your kicks on Route 66. But Bobby, when he published the song, just published it in his own name. Now, later, when they split up, financially, this was good news for Bobby, not so good for Cynthia. Okay, next up, Billy Bragg, an English troubadour, you could say. So his version is about a road in Britain called the A13. On the signpost, you'll see the A13 goes through Tilbury and Barking. Barking is actually Billy's hometown. So he's known as the Bard of Barking. The song itself has been on quite a journey, 70 years so far. And still, every day, somebody somewhere will be giving a performance of Route 66.